That's not as a Yankee thing, that's just you, Phil.
Enjoy it. I haven't had one in over a decade.
I think you played for one.
Another two cents.
That's the equivalent of 26 years when you have the biggest payroll in baseball.
Now my quarterback's got COVID.
Yeah, I saw that, somebody's reporting he's not vaccinated, so that's why he's out. Aaron Rodgers?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it was Rappaport or somebody.
But he's not, is he out because of that or because he's got COVID?
I'm not sure, I mean, they did say he's not vaccinated.
Keeps him out longer, he has to be out 10 days now.
10 days?
Yeah.
2 to 3 months.
He said his words were he was immunized.
Maybe they could start my MB Allen, quarterback.
That's what everybody else.
Oh, we're fine quarterback. We got two.
Cam Newton's not doing anything these days.
All right, the offensive coordinator, Michael Satterfield here, and raise your hand, we'll get questions. Dave's got the first one.
How's it going, Marcus? Thanks for doing this. How would you judge the offensive line's play this season?
Not playing well enough, that's for sure. I thought we'd be a lot further along than we are right now. There's multiple layers of things that have happened that I think that have cost us from going in the right direction as fast as we wanted. I think missing a couple pieces, guys getting banged up, and then just we've got to play better, and we got to coach better, and we got to play better.
And is there one overlying reason for the struggles? I mean, is it the communication? I mean, is the scheme maybe need to be scaled back or simplified? Just what's the main reason?
I don't think it's the scheme. I mean, we run the same scheme everybody else runs. I mean, there's nothing that's really that crazy. I don't think the communication. I think it's gotten better each week. Like we're night and day where we were from the start of the season. But obviously we have to keep plugging away and coaching a lot better and putting them in better positions to for success. Like maybe it's not the runs that look good on the board, it's the runs that our guys can execute and they feel comfortable blocking. So we got to make sure we continue just searching and trying to find a way to put them in good position because they're working really, really hard and nobody wants to play good or better than that group does. And they know that they can play better and we know we can coach better. And so we're all eager to get out there and try to improve.
Coach Beamer talked about doing a lot of self-scout stuff during the bye week. I'm curious, what were your findings after reviewing some of the offensive film, and has it changed maybe how you approach game prep over these last 4 weeks?
After the season, I'll talk to you about some of the things I found. I don't want to really broadcast all that right now, but there were a couple of things, just alignments, people, how certain positions, their demeanor, their eyes, where they were lining up. Told were some tells. Just some schematic stuff of how if, a defense could get some tails on you as far as protection and things of that nature. So it was a good week just to kind of sit back and self-scout. A couple of the young coaches on defense helped us out, did a self-scout on us like if they were an opponent, and that was really good. So I think we improved and gathered enough information that it's going to help us moving forward this last stretch.
Marcus, we hear all the time, sometimes when a guy comes from the NFL here, complex. And, obviously when you look at it, and Coach Beamer talked about this past weekend, it's easy to look at it and say, okay, it's because it's a pro system. But what are some of the things that does make it a challenge maybe, but when you do bring a pro-style offense in, and I know they used a pro style a little bit last year with Bobo, but some of the challenges for some of these players?
Trying to answer this. I hate listening to coaches that talk and give you these same, I'm trying to give you an honest answer. There's nothing that we're doing, especially from a run game standpoint, I've coached at the FCS level. We did the same thing. My dad was a high school coach. He did the same thing. It's basic football. It's block the guy you're supposed to block, teach the guy how to block the guy that he's supposed to block when you're looking at it from my shoes. So I don't think it's complex by any stretch of the imagination. I think, where I have to take a look at myself is not the complexity, but what I'm asking them to do. Like, okay, you're a certain athletic skill set or body type. Maybe you're not a I'm gonna make this up. You're not a wide zone team. Maybe you're a tight zone team, or maybe you're a gap scheme team. And so that's what we, each week we just keep trying to find, like, what is the run that's going to allow us to, take a breath and have some success. But we are working tirelessly at it. But I really don't think it's complexity. I think it's just, we have to just keep plugging away. And I know that makes you want to gouge your eyes out when you hear that, but we just have to keep plugging away and have to keep working, and eventually it'll click and we'll have some success.
What have you seen from the quarterbacks this week in practice? What can you share about what those guys have been able to do?
It's been a good week for them, just from the standpoint they're all competing. And, we always want to compete, but they're literally all competing to see who's going to jog out there first on Saturday night. Zeb's a little banged up, and each day we've kind of raised his workload and kept keeping him in the evaluation process. And then, JB and Colton, those guys are battling it out in practice and doing a nice job. So I think that it's been a great week for them, just from preparation, getting enough, getting more reps than they usually do. They're all, again, we're not going to reveal any information who's going to play right now, but they've all gotten better, which was huge. Coming off an off week too, where they got a lot of reps, especially Colton, to see his jump just from being a scout team guy to really entrenching himself into a game plan.
Marcus, we talked a lot about Jason this year. Obviously, he's been the third guy most of the year. But just how's he kind of taken to the last week or two, and how have you guys seen his approach, if at all, change over the last few weeks, or has he been pretty consistent? And how's he kind of taken to potentially being that guy this week?
He really hasn't changed. I've said it for a long time. He's a natural leader, a natural quarterback, and even when he wasn't playing, he had that intangible of just like he'd shoot me a random text, or just things he would say on the sideline or in the locker room, or how he is in a meeting room and how he would prepare. He's always had that, and I think that he's just kept his head down, kind of like what we say here. He's kept his head down and worked, and I think that he sees an opportunity. I think he, got a little taste of it at Texas A&M in the fourth quarter and had some success. I think he sees an opportunity possibly to go out there and show what he can do. But it's really cool. It tells you what the kid's about. Like, it hasn't changed how he's working. It hasn't changed how he practices. He's always, done that at a really good level.
Shane just said on the teleconference that Omega Blake's been running some quarterback on the scout team. I'm just curious, like, how creative do you guys have to get?
I had no idea
quarterbacks?
that, like they said, Sat, you need to watch the defensive scout period or whatever with Omega Blake. And I was like, what are you talking? I thought running routes or something. And he was dropping dimes, man. It was impressive. So we got to, again, exhaust all options. But, I mean, he really did look well throwing the football yesterday against the defense. So.
Wait, is that something you guys have to do to get prepared for dynamic quarterbacks? I mean, do you guys have to get creative
Well, a
with
lot
that?
of people do that. I mean, you get like you have guys that can throw the ball, guys that can run it. Like Florida has two guys that can run it and throw it. So you try to find guys that played high school quarterback and let them run around and run the ball and run pass options and things of that nature. And I think they asked around who had played some quarterback, and Omega volunteered for it. And then when he went out there, it was eye-opening how well he did play quarterback. So it's a good thing.
So I know you're not going to go into who's going to play this weekend, but I'm curious, do you see a scenario where potentially two or multiple quarterbacks could play on Saturday? And kind of what's your philosophy going into a week and trying to divvy that up and seeing?
I'm searching my philosophy all the time. I can definitely see where there possibly be two quarterbacks going into this week. I think that, they've all earned the right. You're always protecting Colton just from a standpoint of redshirting and things of that nature, but I definitely could see a situation where two guys would be out there playing at some point.
Sat, obviously, Dan has been doing this this isn't the first year he's run two quarterbacks out there. So from your vantage point, with the possibility of having two guys at that position, what are the advantages that you see to having two guys play at that position?
I think if it's like in their position, they have those two guys have certain athletic skill sets. They're super athletic. They can all they can do a bunch of different things. From that standpoint, I think that's fun. I think sometimes in the standpoint we're talking about in this circumstance with us, it's because of injury. And so one guy's not 100% and the other guy's 100%, but he's just getting into playing action. So I think it's a little different coming from our arena as opposed to theirs. I know their guys a little banged up as well this week, but just from what you're talking about, I think that you can have two quarterbacks on one team. You have to be careful. Sometimes, the old saying, if you have two quarterbacks, you don't have one. But, they've done a nice job. You watch them play, and it's just like you look – it's just, they run the ball, they run the quarterback, they throw the ball, they run the quarterback. You look up, they got 500 yards of offense and 46 points, and you don't even realize it's happening. So I think that is a good thing whenever you have, certain guys. But for us, coming off of injuries and things of that nature, it's not something that we're wanting to do.
So I think a lot of the run scheme this year has been zone, running outside and inside zone. Is that accurate?
That is accurate, yes, sir.
What about that scheme in the spring and in the offseason really said, okay, I want to run a lot of this year? Is it just offensive line personnel, running back? What are kind of the strengths and maybe weaknesses to a zone scheme run?
There's strengths and weaknesses to every run based on the defenses you're playing, certain techniques. You want to run certain schemes to a 4-down front. You want to run certain schemes to a 3-man front, tight leverage opposed to wide leverage. I think inside zones is something that every team is going to use because you can be more vertical and get double teams, and you can format different plays to get 2 double teams at certain situations, certain times in the game. So I think that's a comfort zone for most people just because it's pretty what you cut your teeth on as far as zone run schemes. And I think wide zone schemes allows you to, you can block 8-man fronts and without getting into a coaching clinic. It allows you to be a little bit more multiple in the play action game, the nakeds and boots, and you can, certain backs run better wide, and as you stretch a defense, you create more lanes for, to cut up and cut back. So to answer your question, I think that, we went into it knowing we were going to run inside zone and wide zone and then a couple of, of gap schemes, which we're doing. It's just now we have to find out, what can we do to get first downs and to create some more production on the ground.
Sat, during your career so far, from other third-string quarterbacks that have started the year that you've been around, how would you compare Jason to those guys? Is he further along? Is he kind of where a third-string quarterback would normally be at this point in the year? How you just assess that?
I think he's further along just because he's played a lot of football, even though whatever level, it doesn't matter. He's played a lot of football and won games, and so he doesn't have a third-string quarterback mentality. He operates today. I think that's kind of leads to what I was talking about earlier, just how he's handled himself, how he operates, and communicates during meetings and to the team. I think it's because he's been a starting quarterback for multiple years, and so I think that helps him in this situation. I told him the other day, if you get a chance to get in there, it's the perfect storm for you just because you were able to get here, get your feet wet, feel the speed of an SEC football game, see how it, be on the headsets, hear it. And, now is a certain time, there's a reason for everything. This is a great time for you to have a chance to play and show what you can do. And we didn't decide to throw you in the fire. You were able to ease into it. Awesome. Thank you, guys.
Coordinator Clayton up next. David's got first time.
How's it going, Clayton?
Hey,
Thanks
how's
for
it
doing
going?
this. 2 of the last 3 games, Tennessee and A&M defenses, giving up a lot of yards and a lot of points. But how much of that has just been because been on the field too long? I mean, do you think the defense has just gotten worn out at the end of those 2 games?
But there's a little bit of that, but we make no excuses. We have to go out and do our job every single time that our number is called. So our guys understand that. We just have to do a better job in understanding who we're playing and what's going on, the kind of game it's going to be, and just make sure we do a great job of aligning, getting our eyes correct, and get off blocks and make plays at the end of the day when it comes to the run game and passing game. But definitely, make no excuses. But there's a little bit of that, but we got to do a better job of getting off the field on third down. It's not a lot about what the other side of the ball is doing, but it's really about us getting off the field and doing our job when we're on the field.
Clayton, I got to ask, how's Omega Blake been as the scout team quarterback? I guess what's that been like for y'all to get?
Yeah, Omega's given us a good look. So has Connor when he's had an opportunity. Obviously, Mega is more of an athletic quarterback, more like the style that they have down there in Gainesville. I think he's done a good job. He's having fun with it. I think the players respect it. We have a team full of athletes, guys that played all positions in high school, and that's what college football is all about. You get to bring those guys together, and you get to have fun and let guys showcase their skills, and that's all he's really doing. And it's been fun, to be honest with you.
How much is that something that you've seen in your career, just having to move guys around to get a better look at quarterback, especially on scout team? I mean, how creative can you get? And I guess what's that like for you guys as a defensive unit to be able to get that kind of look?
It's big time for us to be able to replicate that speed and just that tempo of the certain plays. And a lot of times quarterbacks, for the most part, aren't as quick as the guys that they have at Florida. And so you have to make sure your defensive guys are used to that look so that when they get to Saturday, that's not their first time seeing that kind of speed.
Clayton, knowing the success that Florida has had with running the football this season, how personal do you guys take it, knowing that that's probably what they want to do and knowing that it's going to come at your way?
Absolutely. It's definitely, it should be personal every single week. And obviously this should be the most important one because it's the next football game. Our guys have done a great job understanding who we playing. That's part of the process of growing up as a football team and understanding the conference. Now Florida's on the schedule. Take a look at what they do. And, obviously they also pass the ball very well too. Those guys can throw the ball. It's not like they're running backs playing quarterback. They're quarterbacks playing running back. And those guys can spin it. They make the right reads. They know when to scramble. They know when to not the scramble, and obviously Coach Mullen does a good job with the QB run game. So our guys are dialed into it. Every week's personal. Every rep you take in football life is personal.
And how do you coach that in practice in terms of when to rush the quarterback, when to maybe set a spy, when you know that these quarterbacks are mobile and they're going to be able to escape the pocket when they do?
Well, the way you coach it is you have to obviously continue every single rep. You have to keep it on the player's mind so they're not going, too far. Too crazy as far as the pass rush moving, understanding who you're playing. You do a great job of studying where the quarterback likes to throw the ball from, how deep is he, and the timing of when they step up and run the ball. So those are the kind of guys you guys got to continue coaching, and our guys got to come in and get the film and understand and take the coaching to the field on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then take it to the field on Saturday.
I know during the bye week, you guys probably did a lot of self-scout work. What did you learn in reviewing some of the film from the first 8, and how has that maybe changed how you approach the last 4 in terms of preparation or how you might do things?
Over the years, you always take this a day or two to really evaluate your stuff, your stats, see where you are, see how you compare. There may have been something that you've seen on tape from another team early in the year that you didn't have time to really dive into. You may take a couple hours here on a bye week to dive into another scheme that you may like. And also, just as far as getting better, it's to more each position, and you kind of take a really good look at how you can improve these next in the month of November. So you can't really do too much. You can't really overdo it because you can kind of mess yourself up. But just do what you're doing and just do it better. That's really that's the goal, is to come out in November and just play better in all phases of the football game.
Clayton, obviously with athleticism at the quarterback position that you guys are having to prepare for, and we'll see on Saturday, having a guy that's having as great of a season as JJ, could he be someone that kind of can almost nullify what they potentially would do just with his speed, athleticism as well?
I mean, JJ's having a really good season. JJ understands the areas that he can get better at. And so right now, we're trying to keep it a team defense, and we understand that they have to take a look at, where he's going to be at on the football field. And so, obviously, we all got to play together as a defense to stop any offense. So, obviously, this offense here, they kind of involve the quarterback a little bit more in the run game. So, we all got to be playing at a high level and just everybody just try to improve and get better. But JJ can be a guy that can take over a game if he wants to, if it presents itself. So, they have to count for him as well.
Please correct me if I'm wrong, but it seemed like some of the backup linebackers played a little bit more the second half of the Texas A&M game, maybe more so than usual. Did you look at them more during the bye week in terms of perhaps moving into a starting role or getting more snaps this upcoming weekend?
Yes, to me the goal with the young guys is always try to just develop them throughout the season. And as the season goes on, and those guys, obviously Damani and Brad have played a bulk of snaps, and they're also on the punt team. So, we have to continue a great job of keeping them fresh in the fourth quarter. So when I put those guys in, they started playing well, and you can keep them. To me, it's more the better. it doesn't matter who goes out there first, but I think all our guys are locked in to go out and do their job, and let's do it together, because to me it takes a bunch of us, because linebackers are either starting on special teams or they on all of them for the most part. So we just got to continue. The more guys that we can get ready with, the better we are.
John, one more time.
Sorry about that. Just to follow up with Debo and with Mo, how
Yep.
do you think they played? Do you think they earned more time out there with the way they played?
I think they earn more time. I really do. I think those guys, and it's not just because how they played on Saturday. So that was just a great, a great job of them going out on Saturday and what they've been working hard for the past 3 or 4 weeks developing, and then they got an opportunity in the game and they played well. They made some production. So to me, you do earn time that way. Yes, you do, for sure. But you have to continue working at practice, keep on going, and but they've done a great job. Those guys definitely earned some more playing time. Thank you, guys. Have a good one.